following is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penney, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of Radio Law Talk. I'm your host, Frederick Penney. I am the ninja of radio hosts. I'm calling myself the new ninja of radio hosts. I am. Look what she's looking at me like. She's like thinking I'm crazy. I'm going to call myself the ninja.
This is often how I look.
Yes.
Incredulous.
The new ninja of radio hosts. Okay. Self-proclaimed.
Look at the body, too. You think that's a ninja body?
Well, hey, you know.
It's something.
I'm the ninja, Beverly Hills Ninja, but I'm the non-Beverly Hills Ninja.
Kung Fu Panda?
Yeah, 855 Law Radio Kung Fu Panda. Oh, my gosh. Remember, we are talking about general topics of law, seek legal counsel. Don't take our advice and use it in a court of law, but you can use it with or against your in-laws. You know, we got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas coming up, Hanukkah, all that stuff.
Tamale Day,
and you can use
and that's
radio.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, you can use Radio Law Talk, and tell look. We tell them the same thing over and over again. When the in-laws are there, and the father-in-law turns to you and goes, you know, they say. And then you just say, well, wait a minute, I'll take your they say and raise it one. Radio Law Talk says the following. And then you have authority. That's the only thing you're allowed to use us for, other than maybe around the cooler at work is okay.
Yeah,
too.
you can use this to gossip. You can use this you can use this as persuasive, but you can't really use this as authority.
But in your blog, you could say, I heard on the Radio Law Talk, you could use it in your blog, you could use it in your tweet, on your Facebook post, all of that.
I think you could use Cal and call him the lawyer that ain't.
Exactly.
You know, I have a cousin that has paint horses, and she has one that doesn't have any spots. She calls us the paint that ain't. So we're gonna call you the lawyer that ain't.
Wait, the lawyer that ate?
Ain't.
Ain't.
The lawyer that ain't.
Correct grammar.
Yeah.
Call us at 855 Law Radio or tweet us at Radio Law Talk. Remember, if you want to email us later, info@Radio Law Talk. We get a lot of emails. Thank you for emailing us. And we love to answer most of them. Some of them we can't, but just go ahead and email us what you think. Maybe a topic that you like. We're going to do a case or no case this hour, and that's where Cal tries to stump us. Welcome Spokane, Washington. We have a new affiliate in Spokane that joined us this week. We're going to talk about a lawyer missing a hearing, and what the judge did to him. It's interesting. We're going to talk about Roger Stone. Columbo. Those of you who are over probably 40 will know what we're talking about. And that's so you're out, Meredith. You're in your 20s.
There's one other thing, sir.
Yeah. Columbo is you young people won't know, but Columbo, the writers, I believe, and the some of the individuals that helped create it received a large sum of money in a lawsuit. We're going to talk about that.
And they deserved it.
And
maybe there needs to be a rap song. Columbo stoned.
There you go.
I'm just.
And then we're going to talk about.
So people need to know, right?
We could talk about Spinal Tap too.
Oh,
Spinal
yes.
Tap.
That reminds me of you.
That is. Okay.
Look, I was raised. Part of my sense of humor. My sense of humor comes from a couple of things: Ghostbusters and Spinal Tap.
Tell us what Spinal Tap is.
There's a show called This Is Spinal Tap. It's a mockumentary, and it's directed by Rob Reiner, and it follows the fictional band Spinal Tap.
Right.
That's supposed to be what they went through during the heavy metal era, and yes, they're an English band.
It's funny. It's funny stuff.
And if you are a fan of The Simpsons, there is one character in particular, Harry Shearer, who plays the bass player, who does several voices on The Simpsons, including Homer Simpson. And
we're going to talk about that.
We can talk about all of that, but that is coming up.
But more important, Cal, is what?
Case or no case.
Now it's time to play Case or No Case.
I promised I would take you to the bank.
Can we hear it from here? Is that? I don't know.
Want to turn it up a little bit?
Yeah, turn up so our.
About
go ahead.
like that. How's that?
Go for it.
That's what I'm going to give you. We will get feedback problems. I will take you now to the Bank of America. Jason Selch.
Sorry, guys.
Worked for an asset acquisition company, which was acquired by the Bank of America. The bank promptly lowered everybody's salary, and Mr. Selch hated that. So he went into his boss's offices and said, "Do I have a no-compete clause in my contract?" They said, no. So he turned around, dropped his pants, and mooned all of his bosses and walked out and went home. Selch figured that was the end of it. You see what I did there? That was the end of it. Mooned him.
Oh, yes.
You see what I did there? Okay, I just wanted to make sure if you could figure that. I hate to point out jokes that they're no fun. Anyway, figured that was the end of it, but he was not fired. Instead, he was reprimanded to keep his nose clean, don't screw up again. And he didn't. But then another boss higher up got wind of what Selch did and did fire him anyway. Selch said, "Wait a minute. I was already reprimanded for my stunt. You can't fire me." So he sought counsel. And so I ask you, case or no case? And Mr. Cunin, we're starting with you, Mr. Mark Asborn. Case or no case?
Here's Mark. Those of you in Spokane, Washington, he is an actor, and he uses the stage name Mark
Ashbourne.
Yeah, he says Ashbourne, but I think it's Asborn.
No,
anyway.
Mark Ashbourne.
Okay.
Is this in a particular city?
It was in San Francisco, Bank of America, I believe.
San Francisco Bank of America.
All right, Todd.
So he dropped his trousers, mooned everybody in there, and then a higher up got wind of it.
Well,
okay.
That was later, after somebody else had already reprimanded him. Yeah.
Okay, and so he had been reprimanded and then was later fired, and essentially he's trying to argue double jeopardy. I've already been punished for this.
Exactly right.
Okay. So I am going to say, what the heck? You only live once. This is a case.
Mm-hmm. And what was the outcome?
And I am going to say that...
Let's get to the bottom of this.
They laugh. They think they're so funny. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Because we are.
Yes, I love the wise cracks. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Can we move on?
Yes, please.
He loses. I think the company wins. There is no double jeopardy in a civil case. Double jeopardy is something that prevents you from being prosecuted criminally for something twice, and even then there are a boatload of exceptions. It doesn't apply here, and yeah, he can be fired for that.
Ms. Dirks, what say you?
This is San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So this is the law that I know. And what do we know about employment law in California?
The employee's always right. What we know about employment law.
What?
It's an at-will relationship.
Okay.
And at-will means you can be fired for anything. So, of course, he could be fired after he was reprimanded. There's no exception here. But is it a case?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think it's a case?
Something rings true about it. I'm going to say that it is a case, and he loses.
Mr. Penney, what say you?
All right, Mr. Penney.
Okay, so I'm going through strategery. It's all about strategery. I could care less about this case. It's all about getting points. I'm saying no case because one thing and one thing only. I have to catch up with points. I have no idea what happened here. I really don't care, Cal. I could care less.
I'm picking up on that.
And I'm going to say no case. And Fred Penney wins 2 points, and you guys get skunked. You and you and you. We all get skunked except me. I'm the winner. Chicken dinner. All right, we're going to come back in a little bit. We're going to talk about this case or no case, but remember, we're also talking about Spinal Tap, Columbo. My dad used to love Columbo.
I love that
My
show.
dad was a police officer, and he loved Columbo. The creators make millions. And then we're going to talk about a lawyer that's missing a hearing. What the judge does to that lawyer, Cal.
Give him hearing aids.
I don't know. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
All right. I'm sorry. More Radio Law Talk is coming up. I promise. Do not go away. You won't want to miss it.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk is strictly for the state or states in which the advertiser is licensed. For more information, go to radiolawtalk.com.
I am Cameron Levitt, Chief Operating Officer of Concussion Medical Clinic. California's first concussion medical clinic is now open. As concussions increase each year, there has never been a greater need for concussion specialists. Our physicians at Concussion Medical Clinic are board certified in pediatric neurology and sports medicine and have partnered with universities, hospitals, and rehab clinics to expedite the recovery process. Simply put, we are elevating the standard of care. When you need an expert concussion opinion or concussion care, visit concussionmedicalclinic.com to schedule your appointment.
Jason Rosbach here with Fred Penney, managing attorney from Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penney of Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PenneyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
I'm going to Quick Quack Car Wash. Get my car washed, make it quick, quack, pretty, shiny, sexy, just because I want to. Don't drive dirty. Gonna get my car suds in the Quick Quack Car Wash. It's the Quick Quack, quickest and the cleanest by far. We're talking 3 skinny minutes sitting right in your car. Watch 100 feet of cloth washing your car at the Quick Quack Car Wash. Any Honda, Mazda, Ford, or Chevy, Sauber, Cadillac, Quick Quack will spruce her up just like that. You'll be happy looking snappy. You'll be glad you was asked a Quick Quack Car Wash. It on the web and go to don'tdrivedirty.com and see where you got your closest Quick Quack in the local area. Get in your car, get in your truck, get on the road, come visit the duck at the
Quick Quack Car Wash, where your car will always leave happy, guaranteed. They take pride in being clean and green by conserving and recycling the water they use, only at the
Quick Quack Car Wash. Quick Quack.
All right, guys, we need to have you read some lines for our disclaimer promo, but first, can anybody tell me what a disclaimer is? All right, then. Well, Denise, you go ahead.
Non uti concilius me auriere proquestis purpurium juris consult.
Latin, that's a nice touch. Thank you, Denise. Next time we'll try it in English if that's okay. Fred, how about you?
Cal, I don't want to read all this. Can't we just tell the people that we're discussing general legal issues and they should hire their own attorney instead of relying on what we have to say here?
Well, we could, I guess. Chris?
I'm not going to be there anyway. Why have me do it?
Let's have Todd do it.
Me? Read disclaimers? Why, I couldn't. The information you hear on Radio Law Talk is general.
The preceding promo was for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer. Just a tip from your friends at Radio Law Talk.
Be sure to read our disclaimers on radiolawtalk.com as well.
No points for you. Oh, come on.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com. And now back to your host, Frederick Penney.
Okay, we're getting back to our case or no case, but we have some breaking news from Cal Hunter, who is in our news desk over there practically all the time. Here, we're second hour. Those of you who listened to our first hour, if you didn't, go back to our podcast at www.radiolawtalk.com. And we talked about the Sharon Stone lawsuit, about this rap song called Sharon Stone that came out in 2018. Why are they suing now? Denise, give the answer of why we at Radio Law Talk think they are suing now.
Well, now I have to tell you that Todd is right, and I'm really disgusted to have to say that. But he is right because it's about money and it's about publicity and it's about Sharon Stone's new movie, What About Love, coming out in February of 2020.
Oh, we caught you, Sharon. We caught you. Good publicity, man. Good publicity, Todd. Don't you think that's a great publicity?
It is. You know, and when we went to break, when we were doing that story, I said $500 for you, $500 for me. We rake in the cash. What I meant is that's about the filing fee to file a complaint. You throw it together. You pay the attorney for that, but you pay $500 to file the complaint. The defendant has to pay about $500 to file the response. Then you sit on it for a while.
Notify your publicist.
Yeah, sit on it for a while, notify the publicist, wait for people to check the public records filings. Oh, my gosh, and all this stuff is here. And then later on, out-of-court settlement was reached, after negotiation, terms not disclosable due to confidentiality things, and everybody is more aware of it. More people go see Sharon Stone's movie. And more people buy the album, and she continues to make money.
And guess what?
Yes.
Radio Law Talk nails it. We nailed it.
Because of the lovely Mrs. Hunter who gave me that information.
Was that
yep,
Mrs. Hunter?
She's listening to the show online.
Oh, and she
said,
texted you.
Oh, I know something you don't know. She loves that when she knows something I don't know.
Well, she must most of the time.
Yeah, that's often.
As far as they say Thursday. Anyway, the point is, right, that, she nailed it.
Wow, good job. Donna Hunter, good job. All right, let's finish our case or no case. Cal, give us the layout again. And
all right, this is a case where a guy got absorbed. His company got absorbed. Bank of America lowered everybody's wages. He walked into the bosses, pulled down his pants, showed him his backside, walked out, got reprimanded for that. And then later on, when another higher-up boss found out about it, he said, I'm going to fire you. And so he sued and said, wait a minute, it's double jeopardy. You can't fire me twice. You can't punish me twice for the same thing. Well, guess what happened? Those of you who said it was a case, who said this was a case?
Raise your hand.
Nice job, you guys.
I lost again.
It's a tree dream.
I lost again. That's 2 losses in a row.
And for those of you who say that Jason Selch won, let's see that. That would be nobody, because the judge, he lost spectacularly. His termination was upheld, and the disgusted judge even chewed him out in open court for his foolish antics for a grown man. How can you do that? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is... Case.
Oh, no, you can't say Fred anymore. I lost badly.
And Todd Cunin gets 2 points on the deal. Denise gets 2. Next, case or no case, I am going to take you 3 to Disneyland.
You know what I'm going to call this case? Moon over B of A.
Okay, Moon over B of A.
That's good, huh?
Nice.
I love it. Very good.
I do have a comment about that case, about something came up with at-will employment. Denise is correct. In California, we are an at-will state, which means that an employer, under the law, can fire you for any reason at any time, so long as it's not a discriminatory reason, so long as it's not because of your membership in a protective class. But employers can destroy the nature of their at-will employment. Do you know how they do that?
How?
They do that by having having an employee contract or employee agreement where they specify progressive discipline. If the employer gives an employment contract and puts in there a progressive discipline, courts rule that that means that you are now, as an employer, subject to the progressive discipline because that's what you've agreed to.
Which is a weird thing because people do that. They get those agreements because they think they're somehow protecting themselves under federal employment law.
Yes.
And yet it's an at-will. You can just walk and say, look, your hair, you came in blonde. I told you to stay brown. You're out of here.
Wow.
And,
well, except for I can tell you your unemployment agencies are not so nice about that.
Oh, not at all. No.
And then the other way that an employer can destroy that is by having, and we've all heard this, the probationary period. Mm-hmm. You ever been hired? Say, I got a 90-day probationary period, right? And let's say there's nothing in the employment contract that even in the handbook that even talks about progressive discipline. But if there's a probationary period, courts have held that, well, why do you have a probationary period? You'd have that because you say you want to be able to terminate them for any reason, right? Well, the law says you can do that anytime. And so if you put a probationary period in there, the courts have said, what changes after the 90 days? Your employees now become subject to progressive discipline. So employers shoot themselves in the foot with that all the time.
I could care less. I just lost 2 points.
So.
My probationary period's for purposes of gaining benefits only.
Yep. If you specify that. Yeah.
This is the deal, though. Why the heck did the lawyer get disciplined by the judge?
This is a good
Who
one.
knows that? Who knows that? Tell me about it.
So this was a...
Denise is sleeping over there.
Well, I'm sleeping because I've never been disciplined by a judge. Todd has to talk about this.
You're always disciplined by the judge.
I have never...
Mr. Cunin?
I have
Put your pants on.
Been, yes,
You're in the court.
Yes.
Look at Cal. I love Cal's lap.
Put your pants on.
You know, let me tell you, what time are we out of here? We are out of here at 27.
Yeah. You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So, in essence...
Do we have 30 seconds, Meredith?
We'll talk.
Oh, we have 1 minute.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this more when we come back. But let's just put it this way: attorneys have to ask for continuances, and maybe aren't prepared, or they do that all the time.
And that's not unusual, Todd.
It's not unusual. It's not unusual. But every once in a while, and not just with attorneys, but with anybody, people calling in late to work, I think somebody would go, "Aren't you running out of grandparents to die?" I mean, I'm pretty certain that you can only, generally speaking, have 2 sets on either side, and we're up to 19 now, or whatever. And so we're going to cover this case where this lawyer has made some excuses, and finally the judge says, okay,
I'm going to call you on the carpet.
We're going to need some proof here.
All right, we're going to come back and talk about the judge and the lawyer and who wins this argument as to whether or not Grandma and Grandpa died again. We'll be right back. I'm Fred Penney, your host, Radio Law Talk. Call us at 855-LAW-RADIO.
Thank you for listening to Radio Law Talk. We will continue right after this.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk is strictly for the state or states in which the advertiser is licensed. For more information, go to radiolawtalk.com.
Jason Ross back here with Fred Penney, managing attorney from Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penney of Penney & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PenneyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
Many women have so many clothes in the closet, but then we go to get dressed and find we have nothing to wear. We've all been there. We all want to be comfortable and fashionable at the same time, and it's difficult to find clothing that makes that task effortless. But at Letty & Company, you can find trendy, comfortable clothing that is affordable, things you'll want to wear every day. Shop with a purpose, online with free shipping. Just go to LETTYandcompany.com. LettyandCompany.com.
If you're one of those independent people who wants your own business and you love food service, we just might have a great opportunity for you. Iceberg Drive-Ins. Iceberg is famous for its thick shakes and delicious food. We lend you our supply chain and expertise, and you can potentially have a thriving, successful, fun business that your customers will love. Iceberg Drive-Ins has some prime areas available right now, so if you're interested, get in touch with us right away. Go to icebergdrivein.com and click on the Contact Us button. Iceberg Drive-In, ready to grow with you.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick Quack Car Wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, Quick Quack Car Wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick Quack Car Wash. They'll have you looking sharp. Come on.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done, and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't give a bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the...
I like the Amargosa Valley.
Radio Law Talk. Now, back to the show.
I told Cal I'm going to just get on the last second just to make him nervous, and he's like, I don't care about dead air, it's you. So, all right, we're talking about this attorney and who had made excuses before about grandma and grandpa being dead. So this time the judge says, all right, I'll call your dead grandma and raise you one.
Well,
what happened?
Well, this case is also a good example of don't be a jerk to people, okay? Because sometimes people will work with you. They'll grant you things. If something happens, they'll work. But if you're a jerk, if you are, for example, what we often refer to as being in contempt of clerk, where you treat the judge with respect, you treat opposing counsel with respect, but you're a jerk to the court reporter and to the clerk and stuff, things are not going to go well for you. And this attorney, last name Leibowitz, he... Now, just
New
get
York.
this.
He's in New York.
Richard Leibowitz in New York.
Oh, wait. I mean, a New York lawyer is a little bit off.
Well, you know, I don't know how somebody could physically do this, but according to Law 360, Leibowitz has filed more than 1,600 copyright infringement suits in the last 4 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's 400. That's more than one a day. Okay, for 365 days in the year. He asked a different judge in New York to recuse himself because that judge referred to Leibowitz as a copyright troll. And another federal judge ordered Leibowitz to pay his attorney's fees for failing to comply with court orders for a court appearance in mediation. So Leibowitz would miss this stuff, okay? Now, in this particular case with the judge that ordered him to show proof that his father had actually died, he had similarly had previous run-ins that caused the court to question his, how shall I put this, the veracity of his claims. For example, in one time, he said, well, I couldn't meet here because I was out of the country, when defense or the opposing counsel actually said, well, he wasn't out of the country because of another case. He was actually in Europe attending an auto show trying to drum up business. The judge didn't like that very much. And so what the court said here, when this guy failed to attend a hearing in April, the court said, all right, King's X, I want you to prove to me that your grandfather is dead. Show me the death certificate. And Leibowitz went about providing every kind of document he could think of other than a death certificate.
But that judge is like, I'm calling you, dude. Give me the death certificate.
I want the death certificate. And so he tried to provide proof in a letter saying, well, my grandfather died on April 1st, but because it was the Sabbath, I had to take care of it before then. The judge says, that's not enough. I want the death certificate. I don't want your declaration.
Or an obituary.
Yes, or an obituary.
Yes.
And he didn't provide that. Then he tried to recertify his statements under the law. Judge said, no. Again, that's you saying something. I want the death certificate. And he was being fined, like, what was it, $500 a day for every day past the 3rd of May of this year for failure to provide the death certificate. And I still don't think he's provided. I don't think Grandpa's dead.
But he tap danced well.
Yes.
But guess what? I want that.
Chicago.
Exactly.
So November 13th is the day to watch for this, because if he does not provide the information, either the death certificate or the obituary, by that date, she will have him arrested. Now, I'd like to say something.
Cool. Sure.
This is an extremely patient judge.
Oh, yeah.
And I probably would not have given him that much rope to hang himself with, to be quite candid. I would have probably dealt with it a little stricter by no later than May.
Well, I mean, Judge Judy would have said, in what county did he die, sir? And then she'd go in the back, she'd get on the phone, she'd call up the county and say, do you have a death certificate for Mr. Leibowitz? I mean, that's what she'd have done.
Yeah, she could do that.
Right.
Judges cannot do that.
Right, but I'm just saying that's what she's trying to do. So let's cut through all of this. Give me the information I need.
Exactly.
And here is the only reason why I could see the judge being this patient with him. If the judge knows darn well that Grandpa is not dead, then everything he says and tries to put forth to sell that story. I loved the analogy you used, Denise, when you said give him enough rope to hang himself, so that nobody could come back and say she jumped the gun. Anybody reviewing this record could say she gave him every opportunity. And if this guy's this much of a jerk and has called out other judges and done all this kind of stuff, then you know darn well that everybody is looking at this going, please make sure this thing sticks.
So that's how many complaints he had to file per day to make it within?
4.38 complaints per day to file 1,600 complaints in a 4-year period, taking into consideration that you can't file them on holidays and Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so the judge also called him a troll, a copyright troll.
That was the federal judge that he said should recuse himself on a case because the judge had called him a copyright troll.
Oh, well, then that's rightfully so. He probably should not have said that because he did act like he was biased against that attorney.
But who hired him to file these complaints? Nobody just did it on his own to see if he could somehow...
He could be doing it on his own. He could be purchasing copyrights right and left and then being a troll.
I see.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to say a lot. There are instances of attorneys who do fund their own lawsuits in some way or another.
I'll give you an example. This happened in the state of California about 10 years ago, and the attorneys all lost their bar licenses. We talked about unfair business practices in the last section under the California Business and Professions Code. So these attorneys went, and they were brand new out of law school, and filed lawsuits against small mom-and-pop nail salons. Forget this. Not opening up a new bottle of nail polish every time they applied nail polish to a new client's nails. And what they'd do is they'd file this lawsuit, they'd allege $20,000 in damages, and then go back and say, but you know, for $5,000 we'll settle and we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And these small mom and pops, not able to hire lawyers to defend themselves, they worked the lawsuit so the settlement was just enough that it was more economical for people to settle than it was to hire a lawyer, and they were afraid. And boy, when the bar got wind of that, it was the legal muggings had to stop.
Right.
Yeah,
it's extortion, right?
I had an experience with an attorney that was disabled, and he was going around the whole state, and he was filing against little mom and pops when they didn't have accessibility for him. And if it was believed and alleged that he didn't always attend or go to these little places, yet he filed suit. And the case ended. I was defending, And the case ended, and this is a little tragic, because he died. And all the cases then had to be dropped because ADA disabled suits are personal to the plaintiff. The
That's
other, nobody can stand in the place and foot of that person.
So those were all lawsuits filed under the Americans with Disabilities
Correct.
Act, complaining that the physical facility of this location did not comply with the act.
Right.
By the way, to a certain extent, I don't. You know, you ever heard if a police officer pulls over a semi-truck, they're going to find a violation? Like there's no way any truck could be.
Take it to the bank.
You know, they're going to find a violation. The same is true sometimes. Some people think with ADA compliance. There's so many regulations that it's almost any building is going to be that way. And, yeah, that's the lawsuit those were filed there.
Yeah, and a lot of times these buildings that were older, they actually have a fathered-in clause, and so they shouldn't have had to comply anyway. So it impacted a lot of people throughout our state.
But Fred, what do you think?
So back in the 70s, I remember my dad, one of the most famous shows, and even went into the 80s, was Columbo.
Yes.
Those of you who don't know what Columbo or who Columbo is, he was a detective show, and he was such a good actor. It was kind of, he acted like the slow-moving, not so bright investigator that would come in and he'd always solve the big, huge case.
Peter Falk, the grandfather in Princess Bride.
That's
exactly right.
That's right.
You're right. Yeah. So anyway, William Link and a guy by the name of Richard Levinson were the creators of this. And we discussed this earlier a few weeks back or a few months back, where they went to court and basically said, Universal Studios, you're not paying us our percentage, and we're not going to get into the details here. You can go back to listen to our podcast, but you didn't pay us our percentages, and took them to court. The jury unanimously found that Universal did not pay them the proper amount of money, and so what happened is the judge comes forward, and then there's multiple steps to the court system. So the jury found for the William Link's heirs, because he passed away, and Richard Levinson, and then it goes to the judge to a bench trial, and then he determines the remaining issues, and then a third phase goes to a panel of 3 referees that are accountant type people who assess damages, and then the judge assesses the damages. When we come back, we're going to tell you what these heirs and these creators, the one that's still alive, Richard Levinson, what they received. It's a shocker. We'll be back.
Radio Law Talk. All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk is strictly for the state or states in which the advertiser is licensed. For more information, go to radiolawtalk.com.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they were able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less. 800-263-2610. 800-263-2610. That's 800-263-2610.
Warning, don't let your business get left behind in what is likely to be the biggest economic boom in recent history. If you need to build for your business to grow, call General Steel today for a pre-engineered steel building designed for your needs. No wasted space. Steel prices are expected to rise, but you can still lock in your price on a General Steel building. And you can still save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. As much as half. But you must call now. If you need a church building, office, warehouse, warehouse, manufacturing space, retail space, or more. Call General Steel today. You can still get the General's 50-year structural warranty and General Steel quality, all at a price you can afford. So don't let rising steel prices put your project out of reach and stop you from making your company great.
800-617-9312. 800-617-9312. 800-617-9312. That's 800-617-9312.
All right, guys, we need to have you read some lines for our disclaimer promo, but first, can anybody tell me what a disclaimer is? All right, then. Well, Denise, you go ahead.
Non uti concilius me oriere proquestis purpurium juris consult.
Latin, that's a nice touch. Thank you, Denise. Next time we'll try it in English if that's okay. Fred, how about you?
Cal, I don't want to read all this. Can't we just tell the people that we're discussing general legal issues and they should hire their own attorney instead of relying on what we have to say here?
Well, we could, I guess. Chris?
I'm not going to be there anyway. Why have me do it?
Let's have Todd do it.
Me? Read disclaimers? Why, I couldn't. The information you hear on Radio Law Talk is general.
The preceding promo was for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer. Just a tip from your friends at Radio Law Talk.
Be sure to read our disclaimers on radiolawtalk.com as well.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
That is Armadillo. Stop whining.
This is Radio Law Talk.
Speaking of anecdotal, I did the Living and the Dead reversal. I'm sorry to say, or I'm happy for William Link. William Link is the one that is alive, and the heirs of Richard Levinson are the ones that are bringing this lawsuit against Universal Studios on this Columbo issue. So sorry for.
I'm thinking.
Hey, William, you're alive. I didn't mean to say you weren't alive.
I'm thinking you may have given false hope to the Levinson family there, Fred.
I know.
I don't know that an apology alone is going to cut it.
They can come on the show and talk.
Okay.
About it.
All right.
But anyway, so how much is the amount? And then we're gonna. But I'm gonna mention the amount.
Sure.
And then, but Todd's gonna throw a little tidbit that's interesting on this Columbo Creators Award. The award. Roll it, Cal. Do you have anything to roll, Cal? Like, oh, there we go. $76.95 million. Wow. $76.95 million.
And this goes all the way back to the 70s.
Yeah.
It does.
Todd.
Yeah. And you know, the question is, well, how did they arrive at this amount, and why is it so much? And it leads to why the case even got started to begin with. And it's something that has been common with cases with shows that are old. When the shows are created and they enter into these contracts with the creators of the show for royalties, when those contracts were entered into in the 70s and the 80s, the only way the shows were ever played was if they sold it to a television station for reruns or if it was picked up in syndication on cable networks. Well, now you've got Hulu, you've got Netflix, you've got all, Amazon Prime, and now every network is coming up with their own streaming facility and device, and these contracts, because they are worded to be limited to reruns, don't necessarily take into consideration by their language these other mediums that the shows can be broadcast. However, the spirit of the contract is still there. Look, this is our work, and if you find a way to play it, we're entitled to money.
Yeah, if you profit from it, you owe us a piece.
Exactly. And if you ever wonder how much money they make, like a studio makes by selling the rights to these to YouTube or to Hulu and Netflix, actually YouTube, because they have a TV network that they're starting up now as well. Well, 76 point some odd million dollars worth for Columbo is a pretty good indication about how much money these folks are making, because that doesn't represent the total amount of money that was made by the studio.
It's just the writer's cut.
That's just their cut. Yeah.
Right. Did you guys know that my dad was called the real Columbo?
Really?
Yeah, back in the 70s, very early 70s, he was a detective, and he wore a trench coat, and he smoked cigarettes, not cigars, but he smoked them in like this, and he would often say, I have another question. And he would do
like
that.
Columbo, yeah.
Yes.
Just one more thing, sir. Right,
yes, exactly. And one of the ways that he cracked a case, it involved two very young girls who were kidnapped. This one person knew about it. He said, I'll tell you what, let's go to the Moose Lodge. Let's play a game of pool. If I win, you tell me everything you know. If I lose, I have to leave you alone. And you know what? He won, and he broke the case, and the little girls were saved, tied to a tree, and they were still alive.
That is a legendary story.
Yes. Now, and that made the Detective magazine, and he was called the true Columbo. Yeah.
All right. Are we about ready to cut it?
No. I just.
What do you want to cut? What do you want to cut?
I got a cough.
Oh,
okay. 3, 2, 1,
we need
go.
the cough button.
I was going to say that Columbo was on a very popular NBC. It was like a Sunday night movie. It was on every 6th week, and then it became a regular show, and it was all 2 hours long, and it all had big stars in it. Rock Hudson. A lot of really big stars in it as guest stars. So it was very popular at the time.
Look, behind the scenes.
It was kind of like the crime scenes that are today, where they have the real big names come in and they're getting these, Emmy awards for doing it. Yeah, it was that type of show.
We watched it all the time, but more importantly, it was funny to see Todd trying to do the throat slash thing, and we're all looking at it like, we're out of time?
No,
I got a cough.
I got a cough. Cut my,
We might have to have some kind of a signage for that.
Well, you know what? Just cough. Just cough. Just do
okay.
it. Do it right now. Practice.
I'm going to turn my head.
Practice. All right. There we go. All right. We're going to talk about Spinal Tap. Who is Spinal Tap? Spinal Tap, when I was growing up, was a band. Spinal Tap was kind of a really hard rock band. And I know Cal used to listen to it all the time with his big big headphones. Actually, he didn't have headphones. I remember seeing Cal, a picture of him with the big boom box on his shoulder. And then he had glasses on, and he would walk around, and Donna his wife was cruising behind him, bopping,
Oh, yeah, now you're
and that's what they did. Isn't that true, Meredith? Is that what they did?
Big hair
all the
poking
time.
out like that.
Oh, did you have the mullet in the back?
No, I had an afro. Afro.
Afro.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes,
oh my gosh, that afro. He had the big, heavy, 40-pound thing. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
well,
Spinal Tap,
this guy looks like Todd to me.
He does. So Spinal Tap. There was an actual movie made about Spinal Tap. It was a fiction kind of creation.
They call it a mockumentary.
And it's funny. It's hilarious. And apparently, Rob Reiner was the one that made this 1984 film. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And there's a settlement with Universal parent company. What's it called? Vivendi is what we're going to talk about. And because the actors are claiming the entertainment group had denied them payments for this movie, this Spinal Tap movie. But what happens? There's a lot of things that happen here.
I think it's a dispute between the film rights and the music. Actually, I think the music rights. Some of these actors were trying to claim this is our music, right?
Right, but there's two things, and actually they only settled part of it. It's undisclosed settlement. The settlement did occur, but the Spinal Tap intellectual property issue has not been resolved. But a mediator worked on the case and disputed it. Settled this dispute this month about part of this Spinal Tap movie and whether or not they infringed upon their intellectual property. That's a number of the actors and actresses, etc. And so that's still going on. But the reason we're bringing this up is a couple of things. Number one, this is something we're going to start following. But they're trying to claim. Get this. This is what's interesting to me. Universal was trying to claim that the merchandising income between 1984 and 2006 was $81. We only made $81.
You're going to take that check and you're going to like it.
$81.
There's no way.
Yeah. So now,
word.
the Spinal Tap individuals are going, no, 125 million. Now we're increasing it to 400 million. And there's a number of people that are joining now to this lawsuit. It's a shocker. Others are joining, saying they need to get some of these royalties and some of this money. But we're going to follow this. Go ahead.
I mean, the fact the band Spinal Tap was created for the film. Okay, they weren't a different band. They were created for the film. And if you've had a mockumentary, for example, if you've seen shows or movies like Best in Show, the one about the dog.
Hilarious.
And then there's another one called Waiting for Guffman, where it's a small community theater waiting for the big critic to come. These are all mockumentaries, and interestingly enough, with the same cast of characters. You've still got Christopher Guest, and the other one is Michael McKean. Now, if you've seen Better Call Saul, Michael McKean plays Saul's brother, the big, successful lawyer. He was also Lenny in Lenny and Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
That was him, and he plays the lead singer. Christopher Guest is Nigel Tuflin, the guitar player, and Harry Shearer is the bass player. Now, you may be asking, what about the drummer? Well, that was the shtick in Spinal Tap, was the drummers kept dying, so they didn't have a drummer. Every time the drummer would die a tragic death. In homage to The Who and Led Zeppelin and all that, who always lost their drummers and stuff. But yeah, there's no way the merchandising for this over a 12-year period was $81.
There's no way. I see a lot of people wearing Spinal Tap T-shirts.
They were the heavy metal version of the Monkees, made for the right.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's true. That's very true.
We only have a quick minute left and we got a minute left. But we got to talk about Roger Stone trials going off the rails. There's some interesting things. The judge, and I'm going to say just this about it. The judge, they're talking about The Godfather, and he tells the jury, "All right, we're gonna be dismissed here for a little bit. Don't go home and watch The Godfather." I'm like, what?
Which means they all did.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, really? Okay, let's go watch The Godfather. But so, and by the way, just Roger Stone is Donald Trump's advisor, and he's being prosecuted for some criminal issues about not telling the jury, not telling Congress, supposedly, what he was supposed to. And that's what we're talking about. So anyway, we're going to be out. Third hour, we'll come back and talk about why you should not have a chicken on your shoulder. We'll be back next hour.
Radio Law Talk. Also, don't forget Case or No Case goes to Disneyland next hour, too. Don't go away.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.